Rich, today we're going to talk about everybody's favorite devilish topic, CBDCs, and what you think about them.
Yeah, a few years ago we couldn't even spell CBDC, could we? I
No,
guess we could. Uh,
didn't know what it
it's only
was.
four
Yeah.
letters. Yeah, but no, central bank digital currencies, they're out there. They're the topic du jour. It seems like every newsletter you get in your inbox says, the cash is gone, the dollar's going away, and they're going to replace it all with CBDCs tomorrow or by June or by the fall or whatever. It doesn't happen that quickly, but they're coming in one form or another, and the governments around the world are trying to figure that out right now.
Yeah, because we are entering the digital age. So we get people asking us, how do we protect ourselves? What do we do when this comes into play?
Yeah, well, that's a great question because we still don't know what form it's going to take on, right? So it's hard to protect against a threat that you don't even know what the threat is yet.
Mhm.
The wide belief is if central bank digital currencies come into play, that they're going to basically be the death of privacy for individuals, and it's going to be total control of your finances by the government issuing the central bank digital currency. Um, some states are pushing back on that. I mean, Texas and a few others have basically passed legislation saying that we won't recognize central bank digital currencies as a currency for exchange. So they're trying to push back and control that. There are some folks that have clearer heads that are saying this, you know, yeah, there are possible benefits to this, but there are also some very, very possible and real threats and abuses as a result of this. So um, it's going to be a long, I think, exploratory stage as people try to figure this out. Governments try and figure this out. But how to protect yourself? I mean, I said this probably about 3, 4 years ago when we first started talking about CBDCs, which my quote. I do believe they were concocted in hell by Satan themselves.
Mhm.
But the bottom line is um, when if CBDCs come into play, I think that Bitcoin other privately uh, issued cryptos could be your new black market currency, if you will, and gold and silver, I think, become your new cash. Those are the best ways I know to protect yourself against something that we don't even know what it looks like yet.
One thing that I hear when people say, gold being cash, that it's not easy to transact in. What is your response to that?
I disagree. I mean, anytime traditional markets fail, black markets will pop up and fill the void. It's happened all throughout mankind. It will happen again. We have seen in the past where, in times of crisis, gold has emerged, and Bitcoin most recently has emerged as well as a way to transact outside of traditional currencies when they fail you. That is not going to change. People can transact person to person, business to business. It's a form of barter, if you will, something of value for something else of value, and governments, I don't believe, can stop that.
Now, since we're talking about governments, we can mention China
Yeah.
and how China's central bank is actually purchasing more gold,
Yeah.
not less. So why would they be doing that?
To tie it into the CBDC, they are one of those countries that are definitely moving forward in that direction, trying to get as early as possible in implementation into central bank digital currencies. And that should not be shocking to most of us. You got to understand that China's power is control over their people. The thing they fear the most is losing control of the populace. The centralized digital currency is a great way to control the purse strings and therefore to control the population. So, not a surprise that they are trying to forge forward with the CBDC um, as development goes on around the world. They're buying a lot of gold, and you're not kidding. So last year they bought just under 225 metric tons of gold. That's the most gold they've purchased in a year since 1977. They are absolutely moving forward with replacing their dollar reserves with gold. in order to get out under the thumb, if you will, of the U.S. and the U.S. reserve currency. As we all know, they're looking for different back channels to go ahead and exchange their goods and services, not using dollars. And again, in their portfolio, because they don't feel it's a worthwhile investment, they're shedding dollars in favor of gold, which has a long-term history of preserving purchasing power, performing well in times of crisis, hedging against inflation, et cetera.
And I'm glad you mentioned the issue about control with China with
Yeah.
their CBDC, because that is what it's about, and it's being peddled to us as being convenient and making life easier
Yes.
when it's about government control.
It can be that too, but I personally, I hate to be so pessimistic, but I do think that that is the underlying theme here. It is about control. I'm not a big fan of that. Uh,
And neither am I, and most of our readers aren't either. I think that's pretty safe to say.
gotcha.
Is there anything else you wanted to share, Rich, that I didn't ask you?
The only thing I would say is, we talk about gold all the time. I think we've got to at least mention that, earlier this week we saw a couple things happen with gold. It hit a new all-time high intraday, and it hit a new all-time high on a close. And we've talked about this a lot, Charlotte. Everybody's
Mhm.
saying gold's at all-time highs, and yes, now it is literally at new all-time highs, and it's cheap. I'm telling you, we've consolidated here 2,000 to $2,100 for 3 years now. This is not the ceiling we're banging our heads on at the end of the rally. This is the platform we're building for the next leg up in this rally. It's all-time highs, but trust me, it is cheap. You want to get some.
And I think I just want to finish off that some people believe they have to buy a full ounce of gold, or they have to buy just even saying a full Bitcoin. You don't have to. There are ways that you can purchase without having to buy the full ounce. So it is possible for anyone to get into the market.
Yeah, well, you know full well we offer the Birth Mint Distributor Depository Online program. It's an online form where you can own fractional gold, no storage fees, low commissions, and the minimum is just 50 US dollars. I mean, there's really no obstacle to owning precious metals now. And I talked a couple of years ago at a conference about how gold was one of these great new innovations. And they thought it was crazy. This thing has been around for 5,000 years. But what's innovative about it is how we are delivering it to people.
Mm.
And this is one of those mechanisms. You don't need that full ounce, but you can certainly control a unique portion of gold. And that will still build value over time as it stores your purchasing power to help you keep what's yours, right?